Hey, welcome back to History of Design, Session 7, Bauhaus and the New Typography. Let's jump on in, start doing some stuff. Let's make sure this always changes on me. All right, just checking some things. All right. Session 7, Bauhaus and the New Typography. We're rolling and doing good. Let's open it up and do it as we normally do. Make sure you do your attendance by Thursday. Let's check out what the first one is. What does saturation refer to? Color intensity, right? It's not the amount of detail. It could be confused maybe with the brightness of an image, but we just call that brightness. Saturation is the color intensity. It sure isn't file size. All right, we know that. We take care of those. We get that in. That's our attendance. Speaking of attendance, you guys are doing great. But next week, so I want to refer back to a couple weeks ago in February when we had that week off. And let me see when that was. I have another document open. That February 17th and 19th when we didn't have any classes because we didn't have classes on the Tuesday, the school was closed, and then I was like, I'm not going to do it on Thursday, so you had that open week. Well, next week is now the reverse of that. So I'm giving you the heads up now that next week we will have our Tuesday class as normal. Thursday, the school is quote unquote closed, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to record a Thursday session for you. So next week is going to roll as if it was normal. So pretend it's like today, everybody's just doing it online. I will have a pre-recorded session for you for Thursday, and we're going to keep moving. So if you're wondering about that week that was taken out and you're like, what is Joel doing? This is where it's going to get put back in. And then we're just the reason why is we keep the Tuesday, Thursday thing rolling. I meet with you on Tuesday. We do some assignments. I meet with you on Thursday. We meet on some assignments. I can dig in deeper than just meeting once in the week. It's just my preferred way. It's not that I give necessarily any more coursework than anybody else, but I'd like to go through things in detail and work on them with you and give you ideas and not just be like, this is what you need to do. Please do it. Just my preferred way. So just keep an eye on out there for next week. That Wednesday the school is closed. Thursday the school is like half closed, but you will have a recording on Thursday, and we're going to keep rolling next week as normal. It's just going to be pre-recorded on that Thursday. I don't think I can do it any earlier in the week because Monday's normal, Tuesday's normal, Wednesday we actually have off camp, like the campus is closed. We're at the Baird Center for an all-day thing, and I think I'm gonna have to do them Tuesday morning after some meetings, and I have to record classes then. So not a big deal. I'm just letting you know that it's not like we're gonna have class. Nothing changes. Just kind of know that when we had that time off in February, this is where we're making it up. Will be next week. So you may not have other classes on Tuesdays and Thursday next week, or Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday next week, but mine will continue to go on Thursday. There'll be a recording, and it's the big assignment. We do the Thursday is the big assignment. So things will be due. We're keeping things rolling. I hope that all made sense. If you're in my brand class that meets at 1, it's the same thing. So, and if you have questions, if that's confusing, please just contact me. Like, what's going on? Just remember, Tuesday, Thursday, from here until the end of the semester, nothing changes. We're going to keep that going on. So, all right, let's talk about the Bauhaus and new typography. You'll notice when we go over this one that there are similarities to the last chapter as well, which is A-okay. It's just things change and are equated in different ways from different places, and then they culminate in one. You got to remember, at this time in the world, it does take time for people to develop and learn from one area to another. It wasn't the internet age where you can see stuff happen instantly in one place or another. Sure, there was radio and TV and stuff like that, but still a lot of that, still like the idea of ideas moving from one place to another took much longer than it does today, when we have YouTube and TikTok, when somebody in another area is like, look what I can do. And then all of a sudden everybody can do it within a week because they shared it over social media. Number one, the Bauhaus. So we always hear about the Bauhaus. The Bauhaus was a school, like MATC, but it was a design school. And we kind of term that era as we call the Bauhaus, or as we will see by part 10, that moves into what we call Swiss design. So this is the precursor. The Bauhaus was around for a very short time of life for a school, simply because of the time in the world with world wars and Germany at the time. It got pushed out, and then everybody fled. So it was in that kind of time period where people fled countries for persecution and other things, and then so this all dissolved. But what they did is the Bauhaus motto. The school moved away from individual handcrafting toward designing things that could be mass produced by machines without losing their beauty. So that's like a weird way to put it, but they're moving away from what would be maybe learning one specific technique and only doing that one specific technique. And it would be something that would be learned, and you do it by hand, and you just did it. And so what that is a little bit of what was in the old days is apprenticeship. So if you would have a master. If you were an apprentice, you would have a master. That master would teach you over years how to do stuff. And this still happens today. Actually, it happens in tattooing. I have a friend who runs a tattoo parlor, and he has an apprentice. And that apprentice pays him to teach him the ways of tattooing. What are they learning? Only the specific ways of tattooing. So it's kind of how things went before. Now we're switching and saying, and this leads into number 2 here. So 1 leads into 2, is we're going to teach you a more rounded out sense of design. We're going to make sure that we're not just teaching you how to make some cups and saucers, but we're going to teach you how to design the cup and saucer, and then have it produced elsewhere, but still be able to have it be beautiful and not maybe so engineered out. There was a time, there's still this struggle of design and engineering. In engineering, when they make something, they say this is the function, and so if it needs a button, they just say there's the button, and it needs a dial, and there's the dial. And so engineers look at it as a button is needed, a dial is needed, done. But then we look at it from our point of view as designers, and we say, well, the button should be placed here because of this, and the dial should look like this because of this. And we start to, blend out and say, we're looking at how people use it, why people use it, how can machines build it better, and then moves on from there. So we're getting into this new field. And part of that is every student had to take a basic course to unlearn their past habits. And that's what we do here. And this, in the Bauhaus in general, is how all design schools work now. We're no longer just learning one trade as a part. You're not just like the paste up artist. You're not just like the airbrush, or you do it all. And what we had to have you do, sorry about the cursor, is now we take you through, and a lot of that stuff, I'm like, so, and I always mention, growing up, we tend to always just want to do this. We're trying to unlearn and relearn in a different way. And that's why we take 103. GRDS 103 is where we learn about the design elements and principles. Here they had it simplified where they would learn color theory, materials, and geometry. The circle, the square, the triangle. This was the introduction. And we think of as things evolve, it becomes better. So that they started with 3 theories. They learned a lot about color, a lot about materials, material arts, and then geometry, how things work together with shapes. Then as we develop, we start to learn more about, well, a point, it starts with a point, and then we learn about line, then we learn about shape, then we learn about form. And this is all coming from the Bauhaus School. And so when you hear about that, everything comes from that point in time. They weren't necessarily teaching this in this sort of way before the Bauhaus. You would learn, directly from your master, who probably worked in a shop and was like, this is what I do. We line it up like this, we do this, but they weren't talking about how expressive you can get with line and what you could do with shape and what you can do with form. So a lot of things changed from here to here. Or not from here to here, but pre the Bauhaus School it was different. And then they said, we have something new. So Laszlo, I love the name, Laszlo Moholy-Nagy. So it's Moholy-Nagy. It does not look like what you say. And I love that name. It always used to screw me up. So a new guy came in as a teacher and pushed for something called type photo, the integration of typography and photography, arguing that photography was more objective and modern than drawing. So the reason we talk about Laszlo is it's this. He's figured out a way to, and this is like, think of pre-computer. How can we use a photo with letters? And there's like lots of examples where there's like bent letters that make it look like it's going around a curve. He figured out, how can we do this in a more like modern way? We're going to actually bend the letters and then take a photo of it. Stuff like that. So it's like almost like precursor to a computer is what this guy is doing. He's like, I'm not going to sit there and try to hand sketch this and try to figure. He's like, what if we just have the letters and we actually curve it and we take a picture of it and then we use that as the base. And so it became something brand new. And it's like, the new visual literature, just bringing in more modern times, more new modern techniques into how graphic designers used to work. Because it used to be all paste up. If you needed a line, you drew a line. It's kind of crazy, some of the mechanical drawing instruments that people used to have. There was like a special pen that you could draw a dotted line with, that it would make the dots for you as you dragged it along. And it was like a pen, and then you could switch, like you could make it dashed or dots by like turning a little dial. And it was like, these were these amazingly expensive tools that like you would buy because you're like, well, I'm a designer. And like, okay, I got to buy the dotted line pen, like, and that would be like, I don't know, almost like buying a new program, like, ooh, this is going to cost me a couple $100, but I need it, and then I need the other pen that does this and the other pen that does this. But now we're, moving on and changing the way we do things with maybe this introduction of photography and using that in order to do some typography. This is a fun one. And again, these are all from the book, and the book has other stuff in it. These are just like some highlights that I prefer, that I like, and there's other ones in there. Herbert Bayer, Universal Alphabet. I love this idea that he's like, you know what? His argument was, we don't speak in capital sounds. We shouldn't waste time on the energy in printing them. And if you are in my brand and media class, I believe I speak many times, and even in this class, we don't typeset in all capitals. All caps? No way. Maybe for a title, but nothing else is all caps. This kind of harkens back to this day and age. Like, Why do we need all caps? It's not needed. So he just developed a very cool and very like geometric. I love this, type. And it's considered like very Bauhausy, like here it is on the side of a building. Type. And it was just like a fun thing. He's like, I'm gonna design a typeface and it's got all lowercase and that's it. You don't get uppercase because we don't yell. But it's very geometric in style. But then you can see that very geometric in style stayed here, but it's actually all caps. Who knows how long it lasted, but it's just a very cool font, and it's something that stuck out to me in the book. So when it says Weimar here, the school moved from Weimar to Dessau, we're talking about the Bauhaus. So political pressure, meaning war, war and sense of, what's the best way to say it? It's not like they are getting bombed, but let's say the social climate was not very into an artsy-fartsy school, a design school where they're teaching abstract thoughts and theories may have looked down upon. So they moved from one city to another city. In that move, they built the school, and they built it in their own style, which was this. Instead of like the old style architecture, they said, we're going to build our building in the Bauhaus style with the Bauhaus theories and using, very kind of geometric at the time ideology. And that's what we're going to do. And it's became a symbol of the international style, the Bauhaus. So, they opened up. They were in one city. They had to move to another city, and that is when they did that. They designed what is now very famous building, the Bauhaus, based off the school. Jan Tischholz, I believe that's how it's said. That one I might be wrong on, but I believe it is Tischholz. The new typography. I love this idea, though. He wasn't a student at the Bauhaus. He visited an exhibition and was converted. And then he wrote the book to standardize a new style. Asymmetrical layouts. We know about symmetrical and asymmetrical from Design Elements and Principles. Sans serif type. We're all about sans serifs now. Like after this time period, I talked about it last week as well. Like I think people like just for decades and until now, like maybe now not as much. Now there's more flavor in typography because you can do whatever you want in typography now. Back in the day when we're still a little bit far from photo transferring of images, we're just getting into that photo transferring, of typography, that if you designed a type that it was a mechanical process. And so sans serif was easy, it was easy, it was clear communication. And we're coming from that time where we were always trying to simulate what handwriting looked like. And how things stick for a while, and they stuck even back then. Retro, we say retro now. Retro is probably fewer years than it used to be. So without a lot of modern technology, change happens slower. So there's these still people who are there's a group of people still typesetting in that old English, hard to read. And they're like, no, we're going on to this clear, look how just no decoration, no nothing, just this is it. And I'm going to put a color bar and just the information, nothing crazy, nothing. We're not, doing Job ornate kind of stuff and all fancy. We're down to the new typography. We want it clean, clear, simple to read. Here's the message. Asymmetric as logic. The Bauhaus rejected the old way of centering everything on the page. And this is great. Don't do this anymore. I still hold on to that. Asymmetrical balance is more dynamic and allows the designer to guide the reader's eye through the hierarchy of information. That is so absolutely true. I push that all the time. Like when we do, our poster designs and our things, it's like, don't just like center. Why is everything centered? Like have some fun, move something here, here, here. Like move that line off the center point. Asymmetrical is what we want to do. So just kind of remember that. Like I remember too, as a designer myself, as a young designer, coming out of illustration, I think as an illustrator, it was easier to do asymmetric design or asymmetric illustrations. But then as I started off as a designer, I did a lot of just down the middle kind of centered stuff. And I remember having to push myself to not do it. And this was out of college when I transitioned from being an illustrator to a graphic designer. And some of these things I wasn't taught, and so I had to teach myself. And now we're pushing you to learn it sooner. The rise of the sans serifs. Love it. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Futuro. If you watched Helvetica, I believe in typography, I think that's where you have to watch Helvetica, the documentary. It's like Agzen Grotesque, and that's Helvetica. Agzen Grotesque is like the German, it's the town and style. It's like it's very arbitrary of like the name is just, it's like named after like the style and like I want to say like grotesque may mean like bold or something like, and it just, that was the name of Helvetica for many years until the design house who came up with it was starting to go international, and somebody there kind of knew and was like, this name isn't a very good name because it sounds like something different in other languages. So let's change the name. And they changed it to Helvetica. So that's kind of a funny one. And I believe somebody talks about that in the Helvetica documentary, if you watched it. If you haven't watched it, go on YouTube and watch it. It's really interesting. It's fun. It's interesting. I believe it's free on YouTube. So if you happen to not have to watch it for your class and you got skipped over, please watch it. Grid-based hierarchy. Information was organized using a strict mathematical grid. Important info was made bold or large, while secondary info was smaller, ensuring the reader could digest facts quickly. Perfect for a fast-moving industrial world. This is something we try to hammer into you guys. Like, this is that what we're doing, like hierarchy. How do we read it? How do we look at it? I know I meld classes sometimes, but like this is that big part when we talk about poster design and brand and media design. The poster, like, what do you have to read and where and how? Like, what's most important? What's secondary? What's third? Like, this is so important of hierarchy and design. Here, they were setting up a system. This grid system books, you can find online in a PDF. I have not gotten through it. Like every once in a while, like pick it up and then put it back down. And I get the general aspect of it, but I am not a grid user or maker. I find it hinders. I get too caught up in it. I love like the grid structure. I love it. I think it's amazing. My brain can't function and use it correctly because I then think about it too hardcore, And then like if something doesn't fill that grid, I'm like thrown off and I'm like, wait, is this what you mean? Like, I don't get it. But sadly, you know, like I should work on it once in a while, is that like this covers a great representation of how a grid could help you set up a design system, and just seeing like how they place stuff so that the grid with that like that perfect spacing in it. But then like some things like go over. Let's see. I think it. Hold on one second. Yeah, I got it. So yeah, you can get it online. With a lot of, and I think it's like half in German. And you're like, oh, it's a big book. It's half in German, half in English. But they just kind of start going through, like paper sizes, and this is so crazy. So we don't do paper sizes in America like this. This is the paper size in Europe, everywhere else in the world, basically everywhere else but us. And they have it based on like this system as how it comes out from one sheet and it's divided down. So like their A5, I want to say their A5 is very close to our 8.5 by 11, but their paper sizes are divided up and out of a single giant sheet of paper. So you can take an A1 and like everything divides out. It's a very smart system that we don't use. And that's like paper sizes. So whenever you hear about that, like, or if you open up Illustrator, InDesign, it shows A5, A1. We just don't use that in America. And there's just like, it's a book, it's free. You dig around, like, look, okay, gridding, here it is. You know, they're talking about how to break up that grid. It's good to just even see some of the organizational aspects. Here they talk about fonts and sizing and legibility and sizing. You know, like these gray squares are like, this is a certain area. And then they're showing like how to disseminate the text with leading, like the proper leading and proper spacing and what it looks like. He's like now starting the more grid layouts. So if you want a freebie to just download and put on your computer, that's what I did. I got it on. I was able to upload it to Kindle, like the Amazon Kindle, and then download it from there. So check that out. Like I said, it's free. You can find one. And then finally, number 10, the legacy of the Bauhaus. The Nazis closed the school. That's why it closed. So they moved because of the Nazi movement, and then eventually they just got closed down. And what you learn from there is all the teachers moved to America, basically. A bunch of them. The teachers fled to the U.S. and all over the world, but a lot of them came to the U.S. and really came to New York, and that's when stuff really, really started to change. It started to change here because they brought all of this stuff that they learned out, you know, that we're learning from the Bauhaus and the new typography, and they really brought it here. And design schools or schools, art schools, were more than happy to have these people who fled their country because of persecution to come to our country and teach and become the leaders and the teachers at our schools to teach America and become a leader in design. So it lasted a very short time too. I don't know the exact dates. (1919 to 1933). So pretty short time. And that was like, that school changed the world. 20 years. The reason I say it's a short time, like 20 years. Like, yeah, for 23, no, 10 years. I can't do maths. 10 years. That school lasted darn near just as long as I've been here at MATC. So, any questions about the Bauhaus and the new typography? All right. Let's keep rolling. Let's check out what we got to do today, or for the Tuesday's assignments. I'm only going to do one of the two, and I'll do the other one and show you a little bit more on Thursday what I do. So I'll work on the title. We have the title and the design. The title, I'll talk about the design and sizes and make sure we don't have any questions. As always, we have the book here. We can download the book and take a look at it. Dig around, you know, see what sticks out to you. I talked about what stuck out to me. It is very, you know, covered off on a lot. See what floats your boat, what you want to pick for your specific subject matter. Man, I love some of this stuff. Like it just, right? We want to fill the page. We always want to fill the page. Here, just so dynamic and unfilled. I love it. These are filled because these are text examples. Oh, we're getting into, and I didn't talk about this, in some of the infographic style stuff, map development. So this is a cool area to hit on. Just look at those styles, like so much fun. Experimentation with typography. Just a lot more experimentation going on. Oh, I recognize that. I know that image. I know these. So dig through it, see what, you know, figure out your subject matter, pick out what you want. I will do something for Thursday. I'll be able to show you mine. I hope on Thursday. I have a bunch of stuff going on, like within the school. So my homework time gets limited. But what I do want to do is I have an idea, and now I don't know if I like my idea, for the title treatment. And again, I'd like us to start thinking about maybe developing it so the title and your design start to work together as not a continuation, but in a sense of like, oh, if somebody saw one and the other, that they would be like somewhat similar, or they could recognize that difference in the two. I'm not saying you have to go crazy, because I've seen, like, not like when I say go crazy, like you don't have to be like super close on it, because I've saw some great title experimentations. We're making things out of letters. I love some of that stuff. So I don't want to stifle that at all. We're going to do this one. The title is in InDesign. The chapter is in Illustrator. So remember, I always whip swap because we got to be working in both programs. We got to be comfortable in both programs. 0.125 for, oh, that's not the width. 6.5. 1.25 is the size. We got one page. I always make sure when you're dealing in InDesign and it's a single page, that facing pages is turned off. It just makes the document read easier for you as the designer. These are now linked. I think these weren't linked last week. 0.125 tab for the margins. 0.125 tab for the bleed, and I hit create. Now all I have to do is the Bauhaus and my layer, title and background. Let's do background. All right, title. Let's copy this. And here's the one. Everybody's going to do it because it's doable. There is a font called Bauhaus. and you can use it. Oh, I've been having trouble. Cancel. I've been having some troubles with my InDesign. I'm on this. I can work there. Maybe I just have to draw a line or something. I'm just trying to get it. So the type box. There we go. It wasn't activating the type box. All right. So I have Bauhaus and the new typography. I know what I want to do, I think. So I'm going to pull that out. Again, it's a title. We should fill the area. Now, do I have Bauhaus? You. I do. It's all uppercase. What's I want to change it to the all lowercase. Let this open. Universal. Okay. Let's do this. See if we can find it. This is the design font. Who's got it? Okay. I put font. Okay. I feel like a lot of you close. Uh-oh. There it is. Got it. I'm installing it. Come on, install. All right. I don't want all caps, that's why. Oh, shoot. I gotta remember what it's called. Bayer Universal. B-A-Y. There we go. Now we're cooking. So I'm gonna do this, and I want this. It's very long, and I think I'm gonna do my typographic changes in a different way. Well, you know what? I'm gonna make this big. I'm gonna change it out. I just always feel like starting big is better, and then you can see those. I'm getting jitteries, and I'm gonna go to type, and I'm gonna create outlines, and I'm gonna go to object, and I want to ungroup. Why can't I ungroup? Okay. So I'm just gonna, what I'm gonna do here is if you can take certain words out of using the direct select. So I just go cut and paste, and then they stay grouped as these little ones. A lot of times, like I say, that like this is why I do these parts is, or why I do this with you is showing you all like how to get around certain things. Like, oh, I couldn't do that. The computer wouldn't let me do it. You know what? There's another way to do it. You should never be stifled by the computer. The computer then to figure out a different way. Like sometimes there's these real archaic ways of doing stuff like this. I just cut these apart because I wanted it my way. So I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put the up here. I'm gonna copy, and I'm gonna put this Bauhaus on the background. Cancel. The reason I cancel is I paste remember layers, and so I just want to do this. Okay, move this over here. That's coming in later, and then I'm gonna be stifled with this a bit. All right, so I'm at Bauhaus big, and I'm gonna use hierarchical system here. in two ways, both the size and the opacity. So if I go to 50, I don't want the opacity, I want the tint. Opacity makes it transparent, as I hope we know, and then tint would make it, tint makes it opaque. If you change the opacity, it makes it see-through. So I'm going to pull these and then make new typography big. I'm going to make Bauhaus smaller. I'm going to group these. I think they're the same size. I'm going to I dropped the, what? Why would it do that to me? 50. I want these to be relatively the same size now. That looks great. Get this to this edge, you know. If I wanted to make them bigger, if I want to make those title bigger, I can do this. And then grab these two. Should always be using the free transform tool. And that's a way for me to drag them and get a little bit more working room out of this, because just the and the, I can actually also stack. So why don't I try to get new typography to fit to the bottom and see if there's enough room? Plenty of room, right? No, too tight. That's going to be too tight in there. So just a little bit smaller. I couldn't do exactly what I wanted, but I work around that problem. I'm going to do that. And then I want this there. I want this here. I want this to nestle in there. I'm going to zoom in. And I want to create a gap here. And I want that space in there to be like the same. See how it reads in there? And I can make the bigger now. What if I go the? I want the to go to the A. The E, I'm looking for a relationship. Where can I do relationship? And this needs to just go up just a tad higher. So if I brought a stroke, a guide across, see how that lines up? And then this gap should be almost exact there. And then the new typography, new, look at this, I'm going to make new just a tad bigger. Let's see if I can fool the eye. There we go. See what I did there? And I could join those if I wanted to. Oh, what am I doing that for? You just like pull this. All right, and we're going to and the. I'm going to ungroup this. I'm going to stack it. I think I'm going to, can I offset stack? No. I'm going to stack. Oh, see, just a mistake there. And I'm like, okay. The problem with this stack, what did I change the A into? I changed it into a Q. So if I want to stack, I have to kind of keep these together. It has to be smaller. I'm going to do it like the height of the N. And then I'm going to zoom in on these. And we're going to work with that. Get those lined up. So pull a guide. Top of the N. The bottom of the N. Get this to fit that. Zoom out. I'm not digging that. But you know what I just thought? I have two ideas. I can either nestle it down here, which is fine, right? It's the height of the T. Actually, I think I'm going to go with that. Here's the other one. Here's my other idea for this was to set it into here. I'm going to make a copy of it. And I was like, you make it really small. But this is kind of, that would be very, very small. And I think it just gets lost. So I'm going to keep it as that. And then I want to take this. I'm going to turn off that. Take the Bauhaus. And because they love 45-degree angles, and I'm going to duplicate this like this. I'm bringing it in real tight. And then I'm going to make another one. Oh, it does it naturally. Now the problem with InDesign is it doesn't have a duplicate. So I'm trying to think of the way that I know my distances are equal. And I think it's snapping. But what I want to kind of do is I'm going to take these two, if I hold shift, I'm going to shift these two down, shift these two. I don't want them to like line up exactly. I want to sort of create a pattern, but an abstract pattern. And then I can take these and duplicate these. And with this set, that might be enough randomness, like 4 of them. And I take them all. And I want them completely off the page. And I just grab this whole set, do this, and then grab this whole set, and like the fill, I want the tint to be 25. I did think about adding a color. I get to do 2 colors, right? Is that my own rules that I get to do 2 colors? So I'm gonna add a color. 2 colors maximum. Only 1 font. Typographic modifications have been made. So we will do this as the final bit. I'm gonna take this, oops, and this. That is gonna go to 100%. This is gonna now be, oh, I don't like the red. I want it like red. There we go. Normal. No, I want preview, but I wanted to be off. Preview. There we go. There's my homage to the Bauhaus and the new typography. That's what we got there. I will pick a subject matter hopefully by Thursday and be able to show you what I got there. We'll start to work further on our pamphlet designs, and it'll be a great time. Our pamphlet flyer, eight page design. However we choose to do it, we can go crazy. We'll talk more about that on Thursday. So any questions, comments, or concerns about the Bauhaus, new typography, what we're working on, anything like that? All right. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at this, and there's something, just hold on. So you got, when you look at these things, you got to look at them with different eyes. Look at the G. And look what's inside the G. I am now going to go and grab the whole background and use the arrow key. Oh, I'm going to zoom in real tight. Good enough. There you go. And now it's just like perfectly centered in that G. I don't know why. It just stuck out to me. All right. If there's no comments, questions, or concerns right now, I will talk to you, if not in Brandon Media, I'll talk to you on Thursday, and I will be checking the midweek reviews after Brandon Media today. So it'll be, what is that, around 2 o'clock. So sometime after 3, I saw somebody did post, but I'll be able to get to it then. So, all right. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.